Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Contractor BI webinar Sage Unified Data and Analytics Platform. If you have attended any of our webinars in the past, it's the same format. We use GoToMeeting. It is recorded. We'll send the recording and the slides out tomorrow. Enter questions in the chat in the GoToMeeting console. And the slides have contact information so you can reach out with us for questions later if you think of something later. You can download the overview from the GoToMeeting panel, but it will send it to you via email with a link in the presentation. Now, let's turn it over to Dave Knowles, which is our founder and the creator of Contractor BI. Dave?
Thanks, Tina. Can you hear me?
I can.
Beautiful. Great introduction. I appreciate it. Okay, so thanks everybody for joining. This is a super exciting topic that we've been looking forward to presenting for quite some time. This is what I have planned for today. The webinar is a 45-minute webinar, but the content is around 30 minutes. And so we leave time for Q&A. If you've been to our webinars in the past, you know I go pretty fast to keep you guys from getting bored. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on us, not real quick. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about how this Sage Unified Data and Analytics platform came about. It's actually quite interesting. And then I'm going to talk about what is it, who is it for, how does it benefit Sage customers. I'm going to walk you through quickly how it works. I'm going to produce a product demo, be pretty quick. And then at the very end, we have an invitation to get a personalized demo of this. There's a link to a free trial. And also there's an invitation to see it at TUG. If any of y'all will be at TUG in a couple of weeks, we're presenting it at TUG and we have a booth, and I have the information for that there as well. And then we'll wrap up with Q&A. So here we go. All right, if you don't know us, and I think most people here do, we've been around a while. Top Builder's a 19-year-old company where we've got experience in construction, software, accounting, consulting, mainly focused on the US and Canada. But I guess most importantly, you all should know that we have been partners with Sage for over a decade. And we love Sage, we love TUG. We're also members of the CFMA Education Committee, and we're all based here in the United States, which is a benefit to our customers as well. And so what I'm going to do real quickly, I'm going to give you a little bit of story about how this thing came about. If you guys have never worked with us in the past, you'll know we don't go out and build solutions and then go try to figure out how we're going to make money off of it. The way things happen here at Top Builder is customers come to us with real world problems. And these are Sage customers. They come to us with a real world problem. And then we say, okay, well, let's figure out how we're going to address that problem. And then we go build a solution. And then over time, that solution builds up and becomes an overall solution for Sage customers, even if it's the CRM with bid tracking and bid management, but essentially the data services and the analytics platform as well has evolved. And after a period of time, what it has become, and it's a bundle. You think about all the solutions that we put together over the years with the CRM, with the integration to Sage 100, 300, Intacct, other applications. You pull all that together and it becomes a bundle. And these are real world solutions to real world problems that led to this. It's kind of an interesting story. And I'm going to tell some example stories as I do the demo on how each one of these Sage dashboards and analytic applications came about. And these all came from Sage customers that brought this to us. And at the end of the day, we pull all that together into one application. We call it the Sage Unified Data and Analytics Platform. Okay, super cool. All right, so what is it? It's a combination of a bunch of things. I referenced it, I refer to it as a bundle, which it is. And really it's a bunch of out of the box, over 50 out of the box, pre-built dashboards from the Sage data, using the Sage data. And there's some CRM data connected in there as well from the Top Builder CRM, but largely it's Sage data. These dashboards were built from our customers' requirements, and each dashboard has its own story, which I'll talk to you about. Now, our dashboard technology is called Contractor BI. You may know that. And then there's another component of this, which we call construction data services, and that's the unified data source, or a single source of truth for Sage and other construction data. We host that data, we merge that data, we clean the data, we monitor the data, we secure the data, we synchronize the data with Sage. That is a component of this Sage data and analytics platform bundle as well, is that single source of truth for your data, combined with the dashboards. And then in addition to all of that, there's a bid management or a construction CRM component that streamlines the information around tracking and managing your bids, and that information leads to a quote, a proposal, hopefully a sale or a awarded job. And the information that we're capturing is synchronizing in both ways to Sage, whether it be 100, 300, or Intacct. We're bringing in information from Sage, whether it be jobs, customers, work orders, purchase orders, parts, service requests, essentially work orders. All of that's going back and forth between our CRM and Sage. So that's a component of this platform as well. In addition to all of that, the platform is I don't want to say it's a development tool because that scares people a little bit, but it's really a tool to allow you to develop dashboards. You can develop your own dashboards from scratch, but it's much easier to take an existing dashboard and modify it or configure it and then save it as your own. And I'm going to demonstrate how we do that really quickly here with one of the Sage out-of-the-box dashboards. Finally, it's also a data migration utility. And this is an interesting one because we have a lot of customers on 100 and 300 or other platforms. It could be any platform, including Excel. And those folks are wanting to migrate to Intacct. And so if you think about it, having all the data in one place where it's clean, deduped, backed up, and stored in one place, that data can easily be pushed into Sage Intacct. And it's essentially a migration tool. So your customers, your jobs, all the information that you have just goes straight into Intacct, which is amazing. Just pushing a button and it works. And so we're gonna talk about that a little bit here. Okay, great. So who is it for, or who benefits from this? Certainly anybody on Sage 100 Contractor, Sage 300 CRE, or Sage Intacct. And essentially, if you look at it at a high level, any contractor that has multiple or disconnected data sources, and those data sources are not connected. And this connects everything into one place for our customers. Now, also companies looking to migrate to Sage Intacct, we talked about that already. And another interesting use case we found for this is private equity or investors. And what we're finding is a lot of private equities out there buying up drywall companies or landscaping companies or specialty trades. And they want to monitor across the board everything in their portfolio. So private equity can use this platform and monitor the bid performance, the job cost accounting performance, the business development activities for all of their companies that they own on one piece of glass, we say, which is kind of neat. All right, and then of course the roles within the companies are pretty obvious. The CFOs and the CEOs, all basically essentially anybody involved in operations, estimating, and sales. Certainly, the CFO or the C-level folks are targets. Okay, lots of benefits. I'll go over this really quickly. I mean, this is really in the eyes of the beholder, because I can tell you all these things, but everybody has their own situation. But what we find by talking to folks is, certainly monitoring your job cost performance and stopping job overruns before it gets too late is a massive, major benefit. Obviously, it saves profits and potentially losses, but that's huge. And then also that information allows you to improve your future bidding activity and even policies around how you pay commissions and how you manage your bids. Everybody we talk to essentially struggles managing their data. 13% of their time, roughly, we track this. Folks spend, working on their data, getting ready for reports, being able to pull their data together, even to do simple things like prepare bids, customer information, job information, things like that. Tremendous amount of time spent on doing that. This solution will pretty much eliminate most of that work. Preparing and distributing reports, again, a lot of people are struggling with that, doing it out of Excel, Microsoft Access, Power BI potentially. Power BI is a great product, but the dashboards are not out of the box. You have to integrate it, and it's also expensive. And then also, spending money and time with third-party integrators, third-party hosting companies, that's expensive. Our costs are, since it's all bundled essentially into one solution, those costs go way down. The time spent managing bids, from the time a bid shows up in your inbox or maybe shows up on a bid board like Building Connected or Construct Connect or Plan Hub or whatever that may be, Procore, from the time it arrives there to the time that it's either won or lost or no bid is very time consuming for a lot of folks. People are getting 50 or more bid invitations a day. If you're a specialty contractor, moving that data around, scheduling people, creating appointments, alerts, reminders, logging the information into their bid tracking system or estimating system, tremendous amount of time. We solve that. Okay. And then, of course, the normal things that you would expect from all the analytics and the bid tracking and the bid management tool is you're increasing your conversion rates because you're focusing on the jobs that matter the most. You're finding your mistakes. You're improving as you learn from your insights, and your conversion rates go up, your revenue goes up, and you're spending less time doing it. And I got some dots in there to represent that there's a whole bunch more, but we don't have time to cover every one of them. But that's okay. All right. So how does this thing work? It's really plug and play. We mean that. You connect it to Sage and you turn it on. Or you connect it to Sage and then your estimating platform or Procore or probably another Autodesk or Construct Connect or Building Connected. Lots of different apps that you connect to. We're going to show you how we reconcile the data across all the apps, and you could be migrating from another CRM, and we're going to show you how to deal with that. And then you simply turn it on, and it syncs, and it stays in sync, and we back it up at night, move it off site, so it's always safe and it's always secure. Okay, then you just log in and you start using Contractor BI. If you're in there and you're looking at dashboards and you don't find the perfect dashboard, you can customize it or configure it, and we will help you with that. A lot of times I'll do that with the customer on the phone during a support call, and I'll show them how to do it. and I'm going to show you guys how to do that here today. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show it to you because I'm sure you're ready for that after 16 minutes or so. And I'm going to just click through these things. I'm going to have to move off the screen here. I'm logged in right now to Top Builder and Contractor BI. I'm going to get the nav bar out of the way. And what I'm going to do real quickly is I'm going to go to data services. So the first thing we do is we're going to connect. I'm going to go back up here. Is we're going to connect to Sage, okay? And then we're going to reconcile the data that you have in Sage with what's already in Top Builder, which is fed from, let's say, Procore, estimating platform, Construct Connect, whatever it is that you have, Excel, and then we reconcile that. And I'm going to show you exactly how you do that. So what you do after you connect to Sage, and I'm going to use the Intacct example, is you go ahead and select that integration, okay? And then what it's going to do is it's going to compare what you have in Sage Intacct, which is what's already in your CRM, which is on the left, Top Builder CRM. And then it says, okay, look, we found all these matches. They're the same company, and it's an exact match. And here's the Sage Intacct customer ID. And then you just apply these matches. And now Top Builder has the ID of what's in Sage Intacct. And then when we turn the interface on, it's not going to go create duplicate customers, duplicate vendors, suppliers, whatever. You're going to be in sync, and everything's going to be reconciled. Then we'll go over here and we'll do the exact same thing for the jobs, they're a lead in Top Builder, and a lead has a status. I go ahead and connect to Intacct. It compares what's in Intacct to what's in Top Builder, and it shows you the matches. Okay, super efficient, and you saw how fast that was as well. You go ahead and select. You can select everything if you want, and then apply the matches, and then it updates everything in Top Builder. These are real Intacct job numbers, by the way. It'll go in and update Top Builder with the Sage Intacct job number or project ID, and then Top Builder will have that information, and then we can turn on the interface, and we don't create duplicates. And then also we're syncing all the time. Changes in status, changes in the start dates and end dates, obviously the changes in the financials and the job cost accounting information, and we're doing that using the project ID or the job number. Okay, fantastic. All right. Now, after we've done all that, we turn on the interface. I don't demo that because it's behind the scenes, but it's happening throughout the day. And it's also sending out alerts when things happen. Even if you get some sort of error, like you're missing some information in Intacct and we want to send a job over to Intacct and you don't have one of the required fields, it'll just send you an email and say, hey, look, you're missing this. Maybe it's an industry or market segment, and you need to create it in Intacct before we can send the job, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and show you a few things. I'm going to tell stories as I go through all of this. And I'm going to start with a Sage 300 CRE customer. So they came to us a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and they said, look, we're on Sage 300. We spent $300,000 to build an Excel-based job cost accounting basically analysis program. Using Excel, it connects to Sage and pulls in the information, runs all these macros, does all this craziness, and then it breaks. Okay, it's nothing against Sage. They had a consultant built it, but it's very expensive and it doesn't work. Okay, Sage 300. What we have done is we connect to Sage 300. We pull in for a job level and the cost code level, all of the job cost accounting updates. And then we load them into Top Builder, and that basically tracks the original estimates, revised estimates. The CHG, it means with the R, means that was a revised estimate. we're tracking the actuals, the percent complete, and project managers can click on the percent complete and change it. We just got an example here. And basically at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're calculating the estimate at completion based on the actuals and the percent complete and some other things. And then we come up with a variance for every single cost code and every single cost type. So across labor, materials, equipment, subcontract, and other, we got a variance. Looks like we're doing pretty good on this job, but we're losing money potentially on the materials and on the indirect costs. Not a lot, but we are losing money. So let's go fix that. Mostly what we see is the variance could be on the labor. We got to go fix that. People are sitting around waiting on materials. Let's get the materials out there. Let's do something so that we don't lose money and lose margin and profits. This is a really, really, really powerful dashboard. And by the way, we reconcile this information with Sage 300 to the penny. So it is perfect. And hey, it helps. And even when the job is done, you can go back and find out where you lost money and make sure you don't do it on the next job. It might be similar. Okay, great. Now, there's job cost performance analysis. It essentially uses the same data, but it's doing this across all of your jobs, not just one job. And then it's looking at your total variance at completion. And then, we could talk about this for a very long time. Hopefully you'll come see us, come see this at Tug or request a demo after this. But essentially, we're looking at this across the board for all jobs and finding out where you're losing money and where you're actually making up some of that. Okay, fantastic. You're noticing here I can expand everything. And then the analysis will break down your variances and your job cost performance by essentially whatever you want. It could be estimator, it could be job type, it could be market segment, it could be customer, it could be where are you in the United States. We're looking at profitability or total profitability variance here, or you can look at percentages, or there's something called a job cost performance index, which we can look at as well. Okay, and then we're breaking down up here where the job cost categories sit, or the job cost types sit across all the job types, or cost types, I should say. Okay, now let's go ahead and show something that's really fun. There are executive dashboards as well, and you can see all these are branded. Now, the story behind this one is we had an electrical contractor, trying to make this quick, that was getting all their bid invitations from Bill, connecting them in Excel, notifying people, their estimators essentially, that we have some projects we want to bid on. They're updating the status in Excel. They're sending out emails and setting up appointments in Outlook, and it's just a big mess. But then once it gets to a certain point where the job becomes awarded, they move it into Microsoft Access, which is then entered with Pi, and then they try to hopefully at the end of the week get out a report. We built this for them. It's a click of a button. All they got to do is go in here and click it, and it's a snapshot of where everything stands right now for the executive team. Gross margin, bid to awarded efficiency, key activities, basically how are the activities moving along over time? What does our gross profit picture look like? Margin picture look like? Job revenue to labor, pretty cool number there. And how are we doing on bid conversions? Little low against the 75% target, which is probably a little high. But anyways, all right. And then if we move on to the key performance metrics, Top Builder itself allows you to set up KPIs, revenue, margin, gross margin, profit, gross profit, conversion rates. You can set up KPIs for the company, annual targets by estimator, job type, market segment, division, project manager, even custom fields, you can set up KPIs against that. And so we built a dashboard for Sage. It tells you it's updated just 2 minutes ago, and then you can get a snapshot of all your KPIs. We're looking at KPIs by estimator up here. I can click on that and drill down and just show for the estimator what is going on month over month, and then by location and by quarter, which is really, really neat. Now, this is an interesting one. KPIs are great, but they're backwards looking, okay? So we built from customer recommendation what we call a go-get report. A go-get report compares your target, in this case, revenue, against the projected revenue, looking at the weighted revenue and what's in the pipeline. Okay, and right here, we're doing this by location, just to be clear. And so I can click on different locations and I can see where are we against those KPIs. Looking out 4 quarters. And if I look at Austin, okay, I'm doing great in this quarter. I'm falling behind in the next 2 quarters. Looks like I got a big job or something planned for first quarter of 2027. Looks like I'm going to exceed my expectations there. But these are what we call the go-get numbers, the difference between the target and the projection. And then I can go look at Dallas. Dallas is doing great. The Hill Country, okay, doing great for right now, but maybe falling behind. And then Houston, there you go. Really, really neat. And what you're doing here is you're clicking on the quarter you want to start in, which is 2Q of 2026. All right, I'm going to try to go a little bit faster. We've got some revenue forecasting, which I'm going to show you right now. Let's see here. We definitely have the standard work in progress reports that come out of Sage and cash flow. And what we find, and by the way, I was just on the CFMA forum about the cash flow. Some discussions came up about it in CFMA's community cafe. And I said, look, this is, cash flow is great, but you need to make sure you pay attention to 2 things. What is in your bidding pipeline needs to be reflected in your cash flow analysis, so you can project how much money you need to do those jobs that are in the bidding pipeline, and when they become cash flow positive, so you can potentially go to the bank and get that money. But also, when you're looking at cash flow, you need to make it realistic. And what I mean by that is you need to make sure that you're looking at typical payment history of your customers and not just the invoice balances and due dates, because that's not always realistic. So you want to get a more realistic cash flow from all that data we're getting out of Sage. Okay, I mentioned the revenue forecast. I'm going to go a little bit quicker because we're about to run out of time. Same kind of story with the cash flow, which came from an electrical contractor. This is a specialty contractor that came to us and said, look, I need to project my revenue. And by the way, I spend 6 weeks every quarter pulling together these forecasts for the investors and the management team. And then as soon as I'm done, it's out of date. Okay, so that's the backstory here. And so what we're doing is we're looking at jobs that are not just active or backlog. We're looking at what's in the bidding pipeline, which is orange, and saying, okay, this is what it looks like based on the start dates and the end dates of the job. And then, of course, the active ones are based on updated revenue coming out of Sage, and also updated start dates and end dates, which we also get from Sage. Okay. Another one from Sage really quickly. This one's, I love this one, because what this one is doing, it's comparing, this is a service-oriented dashboard, is I'm comparing the estimate for the work orders against how much time is actually spent on the service request or the work order, and I'm coming up with a delta. And I'm looking at it saying, okay, well, look, we estimated 57 hours. We had 12.24 hours of actual time on the job. We drove, or we had 6 hours of travel that needs to be figured in there. And then we have a delta of, we made money at 38, actual of 38 hours under budget. And then we have some that we went over budget. And then we're breaking down each crew here. And I can just click on a crew. I love this. And show estimated hours, actual hours, comparison of each, and then estimate versus actual over under. It's really, really neat to look at these crews and see how they're performing. Another thing we're also looking at is the payroll information. And that kind of gives us a picture of how much time they're spending on the bench, so to speak, and not on the job, which is burning through your profits. They're doing a good job on the job, and they're making money, and they're under budget, but they're sitting on the bench all the time and not utilized. And so at the end of the day, with all that together, you're actually losing money. We're looking at that as well, which is really, really neat. Okay, I'll just jump into a couple here. I think you're getting the idea. Related to bidding, we can certainly look at the bid performance, the won-loss ratios. You can break this down by estimator, salesperson, project manager, job type, market segment, division, region or location. I mean, you can slice and dice this any which way. And you can't do that in Sage because Sage is not a CRM. It doesn't have this information. But we're pulling all this information from Sage, and we're looking at this by sales, let's just say number of awarded jobs, awarded job conversion rates, revenue, and that's updated from Sage, keep in mind, and then revenue conversion rates as well. And then you drill down, just like we showed you on the other one. I'm going to show you really quickly how you can edit a dashboard because I'm about to go over and I like to stay on time. But yeah, let me go ahead and edit this dashboard and show you how you can edit dashboards and make them your own. So right now what I'm doing is I'm looking at won-loss analysis, bidding performance essentially by salesperson. Okay, in Top Builder we call that the assigned to. But let's say I really don't care because I don't have salespeople, I only have estimators. So I'm going to go in here and say, all right, well, instead of the assigned to person, I really want to just look at this by estimator. And you can see I'm clicking on estimator and everything just changed. I could do it by project manager. Okay. Your project managers may be the one preparing the bids. I don't know. That happens sometimes, but not all the times. Or I could look at this by customer. Okay. Industry or market segment or division. Industry, job type, you name it. Oh, it's all here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to estimator and I'm going to say, all right, this is exactly what I want. But let's say I really don't care about, because I only do work in California, let's say. So this doesn't matter to me. So I'm just going to get rid of it. Okay. And then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to save it. And when I save it, if I hit save right now, it's going to it's going to update the dashboard and it's going to make it my own bid performance dashboard. But I might like that old dashboard. I want to keep it. I'm just going to clone it and create a new one and give it a new name. I'll just say won-loss ratio by estimator. Okay. And then I can assign it to a user role, all the estimators, let's say, division territory, or a user. And then when I save it, I'll go ahead and do that. And I'll show you how this works. All right. And then I go back to the menu. And you can see right there, this is the original one. Super cool. And now I got my new one, which was cloned into a new custom dashboard for my company. And there you have it. It's right there in your account. And it's that easy. And I'll do it for you if you need some help. But it's pretty easy. All right. Really good stuff. If you want to see all this stuff live, I've got a slide here. I want to show you the private labeling really quickly, but I have a slide here to request a demo with the URL. You can click on the URL here, or you can use this, I'll make this a little bigger, this QR code, all right? And I'm going to change the typo I found while I was presenting. Sorry for that. And then we're also, again, showing this at TUG the first week in June. We'll also be at a bunch of CFMA events. If you go to CFMA, we did it locally here in Houston in February. And then if you can't go to the breakout session, it's just fine. We can show it to you in the booth. Okay. And you can also click and download this PDF. It's kind of a summary as well, if you'd like. Okay, fantastic. Really quickly, let me show you private labeling. We do have this private labeled to Sage, and it's easy to see by going in here and just logging in. And this is a completely branded solution for Sage customers. It's got all the Sage brandings, but it's essentially the exact same thing. But as you can see, it's got the Sage logos, the Sage coloring, and it's just branded for Sage. Okay, so I wanted you to see that. All right, so let's move. I did pretty good on time, maybe a little over, but let's go ahead and go to Q&A. Tina, do we have any questions, or did I just do such a great job that nobody has any questions?
Doesn't look like we have any questions. You must just do that good of a job.
Well, thank you. That's awesome. All right. If you do have questions, or again, if you want to see this live, we're going to send out the video tomorrow to everybody. We're also going to include the PowerPoint deck and the brochure in the email. And just let me know, man. I'd love to sit down and show it to you. It's plug and play. It's so easy. There's really no setup work. We do the setup work for you. We clean your data, we host your data, we connect it to Sage, and then you have all these dashboards out of the box, which is really fantastic. Okay, thanks everybody, and hope to see you at TUG or in a future demo.